Movies, television, books.
Music, games, comics.
Pop culture is one of the things that makes life worth living.
And pop culture can be a window into your soul.
Welcome to Blew My Mind,
where Shrink Tank contributors share personal,
mind-blowing
pop culture experiences.
I'm Dr. Craig Pohlman, neurodevelopmental psychologist, author, aspiring game show host, and Yoda disciple.
I'm Dr. Melissa Miller, therapist, author, film producer, above-average snowboarder, and Harry Potter fan.
In this episode, we are talking about romantic comedies. The concept of the lighthearted romantic story actually has a history much longer than modern film.
That's right. Several of Shakespeare's plays are actually considered romantic comedies, and many books and stories have been written since in the same vein. But our discussion is focused on movies. So, Craig, take it away.
All right, I'm going with a movie that came out in 2008 called Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Have you seen this movie?
I love this movie.
Isn't it great?
It's a great movie.
You know, what makes a romantic comedy great? Obviously, it's got to be funny.
Right.
And this movie's very funny, and it's got to be romantic. And this movie's got them both. Well, I'll talk more about the romance. But it has something additional that takes a romantic comedy to the next level, which is a little bit of drama.
Yeah,
And so Forgetting Sarah Marshall is your typical boy loses girl, boy goes into tailspin, boy meets other girl, boy realizes the reason he lost first girl was he was an emotional wreck, boy puts his life back together, ends up with the other girl.
Love it.
We've seen that many times before. So, but I love the arc that Peter, the main character, who's played by Jason Segel, I love where he goes through. You know, he at the beginning, he's this Hollywood composer, and he has this longtime girlfriend, Sarah Marshall, who's a famous actress, and he's kind of living the high life as, you know, the significant other of a celebrity. But you realize that he's emotionally stunted and not gratified with his career. And you realize much later in the movie that Sarah became really disillusioned with him and that he was so needy and stopped taking care of himself that she has an affair.
Yeah.
With the very famous Aldous Snow, who is played by Russell Brand, hilariously. And so when she discloses to Peter that she's had this affair, then he just completely goes off the rails. And he, you know, is just distraught, and he ends up trying to, sort of forget her by going to Hawaii. It's almost like he threw a dart at a map.
Right.
And so he ends up there, and sure enough, she is there with her new boyfriend, and they are stuck next to each other. There's a hysterical scene early in the movie when all this sort of comes crashing together.
This is a disaster.
Calm down, man. Are there other hotels on the island?
Of course there are other hotels, but I'm not leaving here. It'll look like I'm running away.
Wait, why are you whispering? You're not following them, are you?
I had a girlfriend, right? And Liam and Noel Gallagher both had it off with her right in front of me, so that's similar. And that was a bit awkward, actually, so if you do want to change hotels, I quite understand.
No, I'm not changing hotels.
Stop following, just go back to your room, Peter.
They're gone.
Why are you looking for them?
I don't know.
You're acting like an idiot. Run. Get out of there. Go to your room.
What do you think they're doing?
Peter, go.
Oh, God. Okay, there they are. There they are. I see them.
Go back to your room, Peter. Peter, go back to your room. Go back to your room, Peter.
I'm going in.
Go back to your room, Peter. Are you listening to me? Peter, go back to your room. Go back to your room.
Hey, nice room. I am in the Kapua suite.
What are you doing? Sucker!
Have fun.
Listen, you piece of... You are an idiot! Back to your room, Peter. Peter, back to your room. Did you enjoy that? Did you like what you saw?
I love it. You know, another thing that makes this movie great is the cast.
All-star cast.
All these great supporting players like Paul Rudd is in it. He's a surf instructor. Jonah Hill is in it, who's the really needy maitre d'. And then we just heard Bill Hader, who plays Brian, and that's Peter's stepbrother and confidant. So what's happening in this scene is that Peter, this emotional wreck, is, you know, he doesn't want to be there with Sarah and Aldous, but he doesn't want to look like a coward, so he's trying to be sort of confident and confront the situation. And Brian is on the phone with him saying, "Get out of there!" And he's as Peter is trying to sort of be cool with Sarah and Alice, you can hear Brian just screaming at him over the phone, like, "You're an idiot! Get out of there! Go to your room!" Just great stuff.
Such good stuff. I love this movie, and I actually struggled thinking about this movie as a romantic comedy because it's so funny. And to me, sometimes a romantic comedy is cute and sweet, but is definitely geared more towards a female genre. This movie, I feel like, is so funny and so romantic that it almost needs like a romantic comedy plus category because I feel like it appeals to both men and women. Great cast. I love this movie. I'm so glad you picked it.
So, let's talk about the romance for a second. To me, one of the things that makes this really romantic is, so the other girl is Rachel, played by the adorable Mila Kunis.
Love Mila.
She's just wickedly great. And she's just really cool. But she has this backstory where she had been photographed in a compromising way. And that photograph was sort of held as a trophy by someone who worked at the resort. And so Peter gets his butt kicked in doing so, but gets that photograph for her. So she's not shamed by that anymore. So I thought that was a really romantic gesture that is kind of out of the box. Like you don't see that in movies, romantic comedies very often. What's sort of romantic to you about this movie?
Well, I really love how she recognizes Mila Kunis, recognizes Rachel, how down on his luck he is and how heartbroken he is and how she really reaches out to him to just befriend him so he's not alone. And I love to see their romance develop. I think it's so sweet, and he's heartbroken, but here's this gorgeous girl who's loving spending time with him. And I just think I love watching romances evolve when you know who's going to end up together.
Right.
But I loved it.
Yeah, great romantic ending. So Peter gets his life together. He starts doing what he really wants to do, which is puppets. He wants to do puppet stage shows. And he gets that, in that way, this movie reminds me of 500 Days of Summer. So the male protagonist goes through this horrible breakup, doesn't end up with the girl, but he gets his life.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty fair trade.
Great trade.
But look, it is very funny, and we have to listen to one more scene. And this is when Alice and Sarah have broken up, and Peter and Alice have this really funny conversation as Alice is heading to the airport.
What about you? What's with the bag?
Right, yeah. I'm off back to England, mate.
Oh, you and Sarah going to England?
No, I'm just going alone.
Yeah. Did you guys have a fight or something?
Yeah, it was really... How you served 5 years under I don't know, you deserve a medal or a holiday or at least a cuddle from somebody.
You were only here for a week.
Well, I don't know, for me, like 1 week of it was like it's like going on holiday with, I don't know, I wouldn't say Hitler, but certainly Goebbels. It was like a little holiday with Hitler.
Maybe not quite Hitler, maybe Goebbels. I have to say that if you ever look at the outtakes of this movie, they shot this scene with Russell Brand just doing improv.
Oh my gosh.
They put a camera on him, and he says some even more totally out there stuff that they could not, it was too crass to put it, but it was really, really funny. So Forgetting Sarah Marshall, an exceptional romantic comedy. Really blew my mind.
Absolutely. So I have a romantic comedy that I would like to give a nod to before I tell you my pick. This summer, there was a romantic comedy that came out that really blew my mind. And without any clips available, I don't want to dive too far into it. But if you listeners out there have not seen Crazy Rich Asians, you need to see it immediately. Have you had a chance to see it yet,
Not
Craig?
yet. I want to see it.
It's so great. And here's what makes it different than other romantic comedies and why I liked it so much. The romance, the part about the romance, it's not a chase. So normally in romantic comedies, it's about, wondering who's going to end up together. There's some drama in the sense of, are they going to fall for each other, right? But in this one, the couple is intact the whole time. They have a solid relationship. They are kind to each other. It's a healthy relationship. It's his family that brings in the drama. And can they withstand the culture and socioeconomic differences? And so she goes to his best friend's wedding, or his brother's wedding, in Singapore, and she finds out that he has not been honest with her in how rich his family is.
How crazy rich.
Crazy rich.
She does know he's Asian, though, right?
I think she suspects.
About that, he was honest.
But what's cool is learning about a different culture and the importance of family. And the whole question is, can they withstand the cultural expectations of who he's supposed to marry to match his family status? And really positive role models. He's a great role model in terms of how he treats women. She's a great role model for all females in terms of standing up for herself and her beliefs and her culture. I really was blown away. Plus, it's set in Singapore, which is absolutely gorgeous. It's hilarious at times. I loved it.
And it's done extremely well at the box office. It's kind of like every few years, a romantic comedy comes along that's a smash that adds new life to the genre.
Yeah.
Which really was the case for your other pick.
Yes. So I'm going to take us back to 2002. That is when My Big Fat Greek Wedding came out.
So much fun.
I love this movie. Maybe I'm really drawn to just learning about different cultures because the Greek aspect of this movie to me is one of the funniest parts. Her wild Greek family is absolutely hysterical. She's got a father who is very upset that they're not still in Greece and is constantly shaming everyone for not being Greek.
And Windexing everything.
Windexing everything.
As the panacea for all ails.
That's right.
All ailments.
They are just your stereotypical Greek family, which I love. I find it so endearing and enticing, and it adds such love and such charm. But really, it's the story about a girl who she knows that her whole family is only concerned with who she marries and how many kids she has. And they really want her to marry Greek, and they want her to have a lot of babies. Well, she's grown up, and she has been a little bit of the ugly duckling, and she's never dated. So she's never felt like she fit in with the girls growing up because she was culturally different and she looked different, and she had to go to Greek school instead of getting to hang out with her American friends. And so she's always just been a little off and has never had her place. So I want to share the first clip I'm going to show is her talking to her dad because she has decided she's an adult working for the family businesses, which are restaurants. And she's just really tired of this life and she wants something new. And she's still dressing pretty frumpy. She doesn't put much effort into her appearance. But she's decided that she really wants to go to night school and learn about computers and work as a travel agent. And this is her dad's response.
If you want, I could go to college and take a few courses.
Why? Why you want to leave me?
I'm not leaving you. Don't you want me to do something with my life?
Oh, yes. Get married, make babies. You look so old.
So just such an example of what she's faced with. And while it's painful for her, it's hysterical for the watcher.
Yes. So Tula and I forget her fiance, then ultimately her husband's name, played by John Corbett. I remember him. So they connect pretty early on.
Yes.
And so, like you were saying with Crazy Rich Asians, it's not so much about their relationship and it's their journey intact as a couple within the context of this family.
Right. So he's a single child
with
very boring parents. And he loves her family. He's enthralled by her culture and wants to be a part of it. And she still carries a lot of shame, And so it's really kind of her accepting, this is my culture. This is my family. I've loved them and hated them, but now I'm going to learn how to accept it and have a life that is happy within it. So here's a funny scene about her freaking out on their first date about how different their worlds are. And he's kind of saying, I have 2 cousins. And she then freaks out and decides that there's no way this can make it.
I'm Greek, right?
Right.
So what happens is, my dad and my uncles, they fight over who gets to eat the lamb brain. And then my Aunt Vula forks the eyeball and chases me around with it, trying to get me to eat it because it's going to make me smart. So you have 2 cousins. I have 27 first cousins. Just 27 first cousins alone. And my whole family is big and loud, and everybody's in each other's lives and business all the time. Like, you never just have a minute alone just to think, because we're always together, just eating, eating, eating. The only other people we know are Greeks, because Greeks marry Greeks, to breed more Greeks, to be loud, breeding Greek eaters.
Wow.
I'm serious. No one in my family has ever gone out with a non-Greek before. No one. And you're just, wonderful. But I just don't see how this is going to work out. So...
Work out? What's to work out? We're not a different species. Yes, we come from different backgrounds, and hey, here's some news about my life to this point, and it's boring. Then I met you, and you're interesting, and you're beautiful and fun, and you got a weird family. Who doesn't?
So more than anything, this film to me is so lovable because it's about identity development. It's really about her making peace and accepting and loving her culture and finding her place in her family and fighting for the acceptance of her kind of love within that.
It's a romantic movie, but the romance is kind of broader than the couple. I was very touched by the dad who'd been so resistant giving them a house as the wedding. Now, it was a house right next to them, so there may be some battery issues.
Maybe
but that
with some Greek columns on it.
Right. But still, that was really sweet. That was really romantic. All right. So great picks, really. Those 2 movies that you mentioned are totally awesome. So let's wrap up. If you're listening and have a thought about romantic comedies, please email us at feedback@shrinktank.com.
Our audio engineer and editor is Sean Beck.
We swoon for Sean because he makes us laugh.
Be sure to check out all of the content, including articles, videos, quizzes, and surveys on our website.
Shrinktank.com is the place for all of your psychology and pop culture needs. Until next time, I'm Craig Pohlman.
I'm Melissa Miller.
And this is Blew My Mind.
Shrinktank.